everyone. So it's the start of Christmas card season, so I'm going to do a couple of Christmas cards just to get you in the mood and inspired. So I am using Frisk watercolour cards with a deckled edge, and they come with the envelopes as well. You can use any watercolour cards that you can find. You do tend to find that they don't do a cotton one. I've never found a cotton one. These are a wood pulp paper, so you tend to need to work a little bit quicker. We're going to do a robin. We're going to vignette it out, so a soft focus out, so that we don't have to create a border. I've taped the corners because they do tend to cockle a little bit, and it helps just to keep it stable. Drawing wise, it's basically a fat robin. I've gone fat robin. We're going to make it look very cute because it's a Christmas card. A little hump for the head, just some shapes as to where the wings and tails are, and a little beak and a little eye. So I'll talk you through the colours as I go. I'm basically going to wet most of the card except for the eye. The eye I want to keep dry, and I don't need to come right to the edge because I'm going to vignette. I'm going to fade the colour out. Be careful how much water you're applying. So I'm using my normal wash brush, but I know that I'm going to have to take some of that water off. So I'm dabbing some of it off because it would with a wood pulp paper, you have less time to do. You need less water, otherwise you get watermarks. So I'll talk you through the colours. I'm basically using neat colour with a round number 6. I'm going to come in first of all with some sepia. That's flowed ever such a lot straight away. We're going to work with it. We want this fluffiness. Fluffy, fluffy robin. Going for. I'm going to pop that sepia in. Gonna pick up a bit of grey, which the grey that I've got here is a mix of cobalt blue and burnt sienna. I'm going to take some of that down here. I'm not going to pop the red in until I know that this is settled a little bit. So I've got some cerulean blue here. So we'll have a bit of cerulean blue just into the background. You'll find that things don't move in the same way on this sort of paper, but you just do get used to it. You just need to move a bit quicker. And it's just a bit more playful. So that vignette is already happening. We're not going to go too far. In fact, I'm just going to wet that edge there because it looks a little bit dry. Now, can you see around the eye here? So I'm just dabbing off the brush. I don't want to end up with a mark like this. So I'm just going to bring that round just so that starts to soften in. I have got my rigger. So I'm going to just start to bring a fluffy tail in. So this is with the sepia again. Pop in a few marks. So we're just creating a little bit of movement. It's already started to dry really. Just going to bring in a little bit more movement here. So I've just taken a bit more water on the brush with paint just so that it starts to move it a little bit. I want it to be a nice fluffy robin. I want to know that I'm getting some movement here. Come into the grey in the same way. Just flick out a little bit here and there. Don't want you to worry about being too precise. It's going to look a bit messy at the minute, but that's fine. Whatever oranges and reds you've got, you can use. So burnt sienna works very well. This is a bit of cadmium orange, so I'm going nice and vibrant. Wet my brush, just soften this back in. So it started to dry. This is a bit of cadmium red. Because it's a Christmas card, we're going to take some red in. If it wasn't a Christmas card, I'd probably stick quite neutral and keep it to burnt sienna. But the red works really well on a Christmas card. Picking up my rigger. This is just damp, and I'm just going to flick this out so that it gets a nice fluffy red breast. Come back into the red. Just going to add little bits. White is still flowing. Just get right the way up round the beak. Come back into the sepia. What I want is a bit of a flow. In fact, that's working great there. So you can really play over the top. You can lift out little bits later if you want to. I'm just moving this around a little bit. So far so good. I'm going to pop in some little legs and feet. Here I've got a toothbrush and I'm going to do some splattering with it. So I'm picking up some cerulean blue. I'm going to come really close and I'm pulling my finger through. So the closer you keep it, the more precise it will be. Don't matter if it goes on the bird, it's fine. We're not touching the eye or beak yet. Just creating a nice splatter effect. Do as many colours as you like. I tend to keep it quite simple and stick to the background colour. It's quite nice to pop a few bits of white on sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to dry this off now. Just before I dry it off, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to soften just underneath where the feet are, just so you've got a bit of grounding. Okay, I'll dry that one off. Okay, so that's nicely dry. I'm going to come in. This is basically, you could use Payne's Grey. I've done a little bit of ultramarine and sepia. And I'm going to pop in an eye, leaving a white bit. The smallest white bit that I can. Just use whichever brush you're comfortable with. So I'm going to use a combination of my rigger the underside of the beak needs to be a bit darker. You tend to get a highlight on the top side. Then your eye, it's quite nice in a teardrop shape. But you want to get that little bit of light as small as possible. You want to extend this beak in a little bit. I'm going to take on a little bit more of the red in places. So we've got a nice soft base now, and it's about building up a few little bits of random. I'm going to blend a little bit around the eye. I don't want it to be too precise. I take some bit of rose on as well, Just some, I'm introducing another colour. And a little bit of the cerulean blue. I want my robin to be unique, so I'm just wisping through little bits. The more you do of things like this, the more confident you get. I'm going to bring in a little bit more dark. So this is the sepia. And then we'll take a bit of warmth into that with a bit of the cadmium red. So just dotting on round number 6 and making this really my own. A few little bits there. Got crazy tail. And then with a clean wet brush, I'm just going to touch in so that it's not all hard. They're not all hard edges. And they're just going to blend a little bit. Okay, I'll dry that off again. Okay, so we've got a super cute, quick and easy robin. I've come forward because I want to show you the bits that I don't like. This happens on most pictures. Now I have got here a little hooky bit on the beak. Now I know that when I painted that, if I tried to do anything with it, it would become a finch rather than a robin. So what I'm going to do now is with a damp brush, just agitate the surface next to where that hooky bit is and then just take it off. The beauty of this spocking for paper is it lifts very easily. And the same here with the eye. So the eye wasn't a great shape. I'm going to lift a bit off. A bit of light, that will work quite nicely anyway. In fact, I'm going to lift a little bit of light round here. So you get a continuation of that light. Might want a little bit of light here. So I'm going to lift a little bit of light. This is just wet brush. And dab with kitchen towel. It just changes it a little bit, so I'm just going to break that line up. It's just this bit here that I'm not so keen on now, so I'm just going to move and agitate that surface a little bit more, just to see if I can lift that a little bit, because it just seems a little bit too bold. That's better. It's looking much more happy now. This bit's a bit mucky looking. We'll come through this as well, just to break that up a little bit. So it just shows you how easy it is to lift off this paper in comparison to my normal Saunders paper. But it is harder to create a nice wet in wet effect. Fun though. Right, so if I come back out, you can see that. And then it's just a case of taking the tape off. It's pretty much dry anyway. You can always put it under a very flat book, but there we go. So that's a beautiful robin to start the Christmas card season.